Hi, I'm Christy. This is yoga. Big breath. Second chakra, Sacral Chakra, Swadhishthana Chakra, or chakra, as you may more commonly know it. So today we're going to do a yin practice. So just nice, slow, steady. It allows for a little more meditative practice. It allows us to go deeper into releasing tension out of the body and out of the mind. So, body and mind kind of travel together. When we release mental tension, we tend to release physical tension and vice versa. So just circle shoulders here. Notice how you are in this moment. How are you really feeling? Acknowledge that. So through that consciousness and acknowledgement of how we are, we can work to make change when we need to. So sacral chakra is about this fluidity, about being able to change, about being able to move through life's challenges and life is ever changing. So being able to move along with that rather than tightening up and resisting what's going on, which seems to be our natural self-protection instinct, self-preservation instinct, right? That fight or flight thing. We tend to be like, with so many of life's bumps. And then that's not great in our minds, it's not great in our bodies. So we're working on, this consciousness, this awareness of our habits, our patterns, the samskaras, how we respond to things. We're very much habitual. So we're trying to catch ourselves when we move into those reactive states and really just take a breath, sit back, and think about, how do I really want to respond to that rather than just react to it? Okay, so yin yoga, we're going to lie down, we're going to on our bellies, we're going to start in a half frog pose today. We're going to do probably 4-minute holds on most poses, but as always, you want to pay attention to how you are doing and how long is the right amount of time for you. With the video, you can always pause it if you need to be somewhere a little longer. That's not timer. Okay. All right, coming on to your abdomen. Bring the right knee up to about hip height. So hip openers, you can either stay on your lower arms or you can lower down flat, or your choice. I'll probably do a little bit of both. So you just want that right knee to be at about hip height, left leg's just out straight. So you've got that inner hip and leg facing the floor, dropping down towards the floor, the hip. So the sacral chakra, right in the back of the pelvis, right in the sacrum. So we're working on some of that physical fluidity in that lower part of the body, as well as just that concept of a lot of our stress gets stored in our hips. And so when we have this tension in the body, it's hard to be more fluid in our minds. So we want to create some fluidity in the body to ease, our physical suffering, which happens when the body gets tight, but also to ease our mental suffering, to allow us to be more flexible in mind and body. Just come on into your breath. Work on releasing out. Notice how you are. So here, when we're on our bellies, the sensations of the breath change. So you can feel your breath moving a little bit more into the back of your body. So you might be able to really notice it most in your back ribs. Start to see if you can feel that breath flowing into the sacrum, into the pelvis, the lower abdomen, the hips, and even into this low back area. So if you're like me, when I'm stressed, my whole lower back, I can feel these muscles just tense up. So when I'm resistant to something, my low back tenses up. Try to feel your breath moving in and out of this whole lower region. So the lower back, down into your hips. Working on that sensation of fluidness, releasing out those deep layers of stress and tension in this whole pelvic area. We're going to let go of this first side. You can roll a little bit away from that right side, roll a little bit to your left, and drag that right leg back nice and gently. Nice full breath. Let's bring it into a little bit of a cobra. So hands on the floor below your shoulders. And just push into your hands, chest forward, shoulders back, nice little back bend. And then ease your way down. Bring your left knee up to about hip height. And so once more, settling into your pose, making any little adjustments that you need to here. And then again, try to feel your breath flowing in and out of this whole lower body, low back, pelvis, hips. Working on the sensation of that lower body softening as you breathe. So as you exhale, take your mind deep into those layers of tissue. And then we're straightening up his left leg. Breath on your abdomen. Let's come into a Sphinx for a couple of breaths. Just coming up onto your lower arms. Pull your shoulders back. Let your chest gently push forward. So work on relaxing that whole lower body. So where you can feel, like for me, I don't know, maybe you don't feel this, but I feel like there's this little line almost here in my low back when I'm in Sphinx. There's this little like sort of slight pressure point. So if you're feeling that, imagine from that low back down, you're working on letting everything just relax. In that low back, in your abdomen. So imagine the low back moving forward into your abdomen, letting that whole area soften. And then we'll push it back into a child's pose. Nice and easy. Come up onto hands and knees. Push your hips back towards your heels. Alright, so if you're okay here, we're going to stay here. If you're not okay here, just skip this one. We're going to stay in child's pose. So again, we can work on the sensation of stretching out this whole lower back sacrum area, even into your hips. Keep softening down as you breathe. slowly come out of child's pose. And we're going to try to make our way up onto our backs. And just let yourself be flat on your back here. Let your head maybe lean a little to one side. And then back through center and over to the opposite side. And then head back to center and let it rock a little bit from across the back of the head. All right, reclining deer pose. So we are going to have our feet on the floor. We're going to have some space between the feet. We're going to let our legs drop to the left, focusing on the right leg. So you're letting your legs just lean over. This left leg can go wherever you like it to be. Your right leg is where the emphasis of the pose is. So you can move that leg either farther out to your right or farther over to your left. Letting that inner leg drop down towards the floor, stretching out the top of the leg and into the whole hip. So where you feel it can vary, but usually this gets pretty deep into the hip. Feel your breath. Keep working on just sinking down, letting go. And so now we can feel the breath flowing into the abdomen. So you can focus on this sense of fluidity. Feeling that movement of the breath. Feeling that abdomen expand and contract. So you can imagine that sense of fluidity, of ease. Really moving into the whole pelvis and into the hips. If you really focus on that movement of the abdomen, you may be able to feel this little expansion and contraction in the pelvis and in the hips. So everything has this little rippling effect, right? So even though Swadhishthana Chakra is at the sacrum, nothing works independently. And so it's not like that's some super isolated part of the body. It's still, connected to everything else. So while usually we don't think about the pelvis breathing, obviously there is a shift that's happening as we expand in the belly. It's going to affect what's happening in our hips, right? There can be this little pressure against the hips. There can be a little bit of movement in the hips. Just imagine that sense of fluidity in that lower body. right leg gently slide towards your left, nice and easy. Extend that right foot out to your left side. Push the heel out from your hip. Get some length through this outside of the leg. Big breath. And then we're going to gently come back onto our backs. Hang on to the back of the left leg. Let your foot come up towards the ceiling. Oh, sorry, right leg. Hold on to the back of your right leg. Right foot up towards the ceiling. Pull leg in towards you. Looking for that sense of release in your low back. And then let both legs lengthen out along the floor. Bring arms past your head. Big long stretch. And then both feet come back up onto the floor. Feels really, the yin poses can be hard, but hopefully it's like feeling good as you come out of the poses. And just get that sense of, even though things are like a little tender now, it takes a little bit for it to come back to just a non-overused sensation. But still there's this sense of, right, just greater ease in the hips. So hopefully you are experiencing that. All right, feet are wide. We're going to drop the legs over to the right side. Now we're focusing on the left leg. Move your left leg around until you feel like it's in the right spot. Breath. Arms can be out at shoulder height or past your head, wherever you're feeling it here. And again, come back into observing the movement of the abdomen as you breathe. Really working on releasing tension out of this left hip and leg. Trying to feel a sense of fluidness in this whole lower part of the torso. Really working on that sense of softness. And so imagine how just your life would be different if you could always maintain this sense of softness, lightness, fluidity in your low back, in your abdomen, in your hips, your pelvis. All of those nerves were always relaxed. And the muscles were strong but pliable. Imagine how there would be a greater sense of fluidity in your life. release this side. Slowly let your left leg slide over to your right leg. Extend that left leg out to your right side. And then come back onto your back. Bring the left foot up towards the ceiling. Hang on to the back of that left leg. Pull in gently. Looking for that sense of release in your low back. And then we'll pull both knees in, rock a little from side to side. Reach for your feet for a happy baby. Soles of the feet together, pull them in towards you. And then we're going to let the feet separate. Soles of the feet point up. And then slowly come back up into a seated position. Take the legs out straight, bounce the knees up and down. Lengthen your spine out over your legs. Good. All right, coming into a butterfly pose. We're going to do soles of the feet together. These feet are pushing a little bit forward away from the body. If you want something underneath your head, it could be pillows, blankets, anything. If you have blocks, 1 or 2 yoga blocks might be helpful. So with the yoga blocks, you can use them on the tall end. So tall height, medium height, low height. So you can play with, are you resting on the short edge, on the long edge, or on the flat side? That'll help support your head. All right, nice breath. We're rounding the back, letting the head drop down. So also having the block up on the higher end means you're not quite as low in the pose. So sometimes I like to start this way, and then maybe I'll start to shift my block and go a little bit lower. Breathing. Drawing your attention back to the sacrum. Trying to feel that sacrum lengthening out, like you're pulling apart a little bit. Working on really creating a bit more space in the sacrum. Allowing the energy to flow more freely. And again, maybe the sense of fluidity in the sacrum. And we're slowly coming up. Alright, as poses can get intense. Alright, just take your feet out wide, lengthen up your spine, and just kind of like lean a little to one side, just kind of rocking a little bit. And then let's just do a little brief wide leg forward fold. Again, you could use blocks under your arms here. All right, come up. We're gonna roll back onto our backs. All right, coming on down. Okay. Let me calculate time and what I want to do here. We're gonna come back onto our backs, feet on the floor. Let's do a little bridge. Just gonna push into the feet, bring your hips up, lengthen your hips out from your shoulders. Really engaging these leg and hip muscles, like you're squeezing your legs in towards each other without actually moving them. So, or like if you have a block, oops, feet were too wide. It can be these block between your legs, just kind of squeezing that block in with your hips up. All right, coming down. Into a reclining pigeon. We're going to bring right ankle on top of left thigh. And then I'm going to walk my left foot a little farther over to the left side. And then let the legs drop down to the left. So by walking that leg over, it shifts a little bit where this left knee lands. Pulls it up a little more towards your shoulder, which for me helps to hold this foot in place. But feel free to, again, shift your legs around. And then I'll often just kind of anchor this foot down with my hand too. All right, big breath. Let it go. So now in the sacrum, in the pelvis, start to visualize that color orange. Just a really vibrant orange. So imagine that color orange, filling the hips, the pelvis. And let that color orange bring a sensation of healing. Alright, we're going to gently release this side. So you can just kind of let your legs slide a little bit. Let that right foot just kind of slide off of the leg. Let your legs straighten out onto the floor. Alright, both feet on the floor. Left ankle comes up on top of the right thigh. So again, you can try walking your right foot a little farther over to the right and then let your legs drop to that right side. If your foot is sliding, just kind of hold it down with your right hand. And come back to visualizing that color orange in the sacrum, filling the whole pelvis, the lower part of the torso. A sense of fluidity and healing in the pelvis. Alright, we're going to release this side gently. Let your legs just kind of slide. Maybe a nice stretch of arms overhead. And then feet on the floor, press your low back down into the floor. We're going to take it into a twist. Arms out at about shoulder height. Let's drop legs over to the left side. Legs just go on over to your left. Give the spine a little twist. And then back to center. Knees can pull in if you like, or just your feet on the floor. I'm going to take legs over to the right side. And then back to center. If you're going for happy baby, grab those feet. Alright, Shavasana. So get comfy if you want something under your legs. Put a pillow, a rolled up towel, something underneath your legs. If you want something over that abdomen, it can just be a blanket. So I'm going to put a blanket under my head. And just across the abdomen and pelvis. Get comfortable. Feel your breath. And just hopefully you feel a sense of lightness now in your hips, in that whole sacrum area, that whole Swadhishthana Chakra area. Start to visualize that color orange in your entire body. Feel a sense of lightness. Feel that you've created space for moving forward in your life. Take a deeper breath. Observe how you are. Start to move your fingers, your wrists, toes, ankles. Maybe stretch your arms past your head. Bend your knees, roll to one side. And make your way up into a seated position. Sit up nice and tall. And bring hands to your heart. Nice full breath. Release it out. Thank you for being here and sharing in this practice today. Namaste.